All right. I wonder if I have an echo. So I am here waiting on y'all, and I hear an echo in this app. So y'all have to let me know if y'all hear an echo. I have two people who are here with me. Please let me know in the chat if you hear an echo. And even if you do, I don't even know if I know how to fix it. And I am also live here on Instagram. So we are live on Facebook. We are live on Instagram. Hey, McKinley Holmes. Hi, Kim. Somebody let me know. Do you guys hear an echo, ladies? Y'all hear an echo? Hey, Sherry on Instagram. Let's see. Kim, can you hear me? So I have a lot of different things happening. Oh, yes. Oh, and you hear an echo. I don't even know how to fix it. How do I fix this echo? I don't know how to fix the echo. I have checked to cancel echo. Let's see. I'm using some new software. When we tested it, of course, there was no echo. And now there is. Let's see. Well, Kim, I'm still happy to see you here. Um, let's see. Oh, this echo thing is not gonna. Oh, is it gone? Oh no, it's still there. Yeah, I am broadcasting from multiple platforms in one app. So that's what's troubling. I'm only in one app. Um, and the app is broadcasting. So there's something that I did recently, I think, to my sound. It was working. Hmm. But I hope that's the I hope it's not too annoying. It's annoying me. Ah, well, well, hey everybody. I am supposed to be live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube in one app, but there seems to be a lot of echo. So it's only one app, and I have nothing else open. So I'm gonna jump in here. Oh, I'm telling you, technology is supposed to be your friend. Hey, Reggie. All right, so thank you, Kim. Kim says the echo is not too bad. Um, I'm not exactly sure why it's doing that. Hey, Paula Ann. But we're going to jump on and get started because I see some folks in here who are amazing relationship builders. And so this should be a great conversation. And what I'll do is try to talk slower so that it doesn't echo too badly because I have no idea what happened. All right, so let's get into this conversation. So today, well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Janine Brown. I'm an executive career strategist, and I work with men and women who are looking to accelerate their careers. So most of my clients are mid-career. They are probably at the 12 and more stage, maybe even closer to 15 years of experience, and they're still in the market, not ready to retire, but have identified that, hey, I want to make more money. I want to do something that aligns maybe a little bit more with what I'm passionate about, but I don't want to leave my employer. And so I get to work with these really dynamic professionals and help them put together strategies so that they become better leaders in their organizations, uh, so better people leaders. Um, Also help them as they execute and transition onto new and larger projects, get more visibility, expand their networks, and to be more productive, right? Getting things done faster and using innovation to do that. So that's what I do. So in the chat window, tell me what you do. What y'all do? Some of y'all I know. Hey, Angela Frazier, thanks for coming back. And hey, Felicia, so special to have you here. So, so tell me a little bit about what you do in the chat window, and I'll be looking to see all of that. You guys are a little behind me, but one of the things that I think about with relationships, and I think was highlighted for a lot of us last year, is when we went into COVID, is what type of relationships do we have? Like, who's in our network? And when we're looking to do something, and to make a move or to get access to something, and I'll give a perfect example. In January, my brother moved here from California, and I have three brothers, and one has some special needs, and so he doesn't live on his own. He doesn't drive. He reads by kind of word and sight, but he's not like a lot of us who could sit down and just read a full book from cover to cover. So Travis is here, and he's an adult, and so unexpectedly, I am a caregiver. And so one of the first things I did was sit back and say, who do I know who works in social services, works maybe with adults with behavioral and vocational disabilities, and wanted to see like who's in my network. Because one of the things that I realized is I don't normally call 800 numbers, and I don't dial like the information on the receptionist. I'm so accustomed to having a contact that I can just pick up the phone, right? I can pick up the phone and call Paula, call Kim, call Reggie, call anybody in my network and say, hey, this is what I'm up to. And I need a name or someone's phone number who can I can connect with and they help me directly. And some people might think, Janine, that's kind of crazy. But I feel like that's how it should be at this point in my life. I'm at this age where I should have a deep network of people that I can pick up the phone and call whenever I need them. And so I might be a little spoiled, yeah, but I think that's what relationship building is about, right? We should all have some sort of relationship capital where whatever we're up to in life, both personal, professional, recreational, we should be able to pick up the phone and call someone and say, hey, this is what I have going on. Do you know someone? Or even calling the person who is the contact, right? If I need something at Wells Fargo, I should be able to say, hey, Paula, I'm working on this. I got this dope leadership program. Can you put me in touch with your leadership development organization so that I can have someone to talk to, right? So, or I see one of my former clients on here, she's now at AWS. If she needs something, she could call me. Hey, Janine, do you know anyone at AWS? And I could say yes, because I coach people at Amazon Web Services. So, yes, let me see who I can put you in touch with. And so when I think about, how to establish value add relationships, we all need to be actively doing this every day. And you might be saying, but shoot, I'm in a virtual environment. I'm at a new organization. I work for this really large company. I feel disconnected. How do I do this in this environment? And I think that's what happened to a lot of people last year. They recognized that they didn't have any relationship capital. And you got to have some relationship capital. Let me move this, y'all. You have to have some relationship capital because if you don't, you're in this thing alone. And none of us can be successful in this alone. So I one of the things that I try to do every year, especially when I was a lot younger, figure out what areas, what professions did I not have relationships in? Like, did I know enough doctors that I had a personal relationship with? How about attorneys, educators, scientists, all of these different areas, people in politics. And one of the things I recognize, if you know people in politics, you can get connected so quickly with people. And that is the thing about it. So you so asked me to talk a little bit more about relationship capital. So relationship capital as I defined it is having relationships with people who are willing to put it on the line for you. They're willing to make a call on your behalf. They're willing to make an introduction into their network, a deep introduction, and they are someone who you have built up trust with over time. So, relationship capital is a two-way kind of thing. It's a back and forth. And sometimes you might have more relationship capital with someone else, right? They've opened more doors for you, they've done more for you than they have with you. However, there's still some trust there. There's still a reason to support whatever you're up to, and they're willing to make a call. So I hope that that helps. So, when and I'll give a great example. I was at the gym this morning working out with my trainer, and we were talking about like who do we know, like people we know, and started talking about. She mentioned how someone who she doesn't talk to often, but this person always reaches out when they need something. I might have said it first, actually. Yeah, I got people in my life who sometimes they don't even say, they don't even send a message of like, "Are you alive?" They just call when they need something. And she started to share that there's someone in her life who always calls when they need a letter of recommendation or some sort of recommendation for a job change. And she was like, "I'm done with that." She said, and they blow me up all the time, right? So my trainer is the person who has the capital, right? They have the relationships with others. They have the gravitas, the positioning from their past life to help this person out or their current life, right? So they used to be an accountant and a pretty senior leader in their organization. And so this person always only calls, and she was like, "I'm done with that," right? Because the other person hasn't invested anything in the relationship. So person B has nothing invested. She only reaches out when she needs something. So she doesn't have any relationship capital. So my friend, my trainer said, "I'm done with her." Right? She don't even check in and say hi from time to time. And so that's an example of how relationship capital works. We have to make those investments. It's also the same as in mentoring relationships. Like I have some mentors, they're mostly older men. I've known them for a long time. I learn a lot from them, but they don't come checking for me on a regular basis. They don't call me. I call them or I text them. Like last Friday, I recognized I hadn't talked to one in a while. I text him within an hour. He called me, and we stayed on the phone for 45 minutes and talked about how we hadn't seen each other because of COVID, right? And so he's a former retired executive in the banking community, and just told me something he was up to, and he's like, "Janine, I want to pull you into this when the time is right." And so that's the connecting part of, at these value added relationships. So the first thing I always tell people, no matter how old you are, what role you're in, who is not in your network. It could be a specific person that you want to get to know, or it could be a profession, right? I need to, or I want to meet more people who are in public service, that are politicians. and how do I connect with them, right? And of course, in that sort of relationship, is there a problem that I can help them solve as they work with their constituents? So the next part of this value added relationships is we got the connecting, and then we have the maintenance. So maintenance is just that. It's the checking in, the maintaining of that relationship and growing that social capital, that relationship capital. And it can be either a formal process or an informal process. I have a lot of people I coach. It's like, Janine, give me some topics of what I can talk to people about. That is an approach, right? That is an approach to say, well, I don't know this person really well, so I'm going to come up with a formal agenda to build this relationship with them. Have any of you done that? Like, say, okay, I'm going to put together a full set of topics that I want to talk about. So that is one way to help with that. And so, Nicole, you're right. The maintenance is what enriches the relationship. That's exactly what happens. It definitely enriches the relationship. And so that is a way to know that, look, I'm making an investment. It's like fertilizing, right? You got to fertilize those relationships and the people that you know. And it's really no different than your friendships or relationships with your family. I think sometimes we think it's so different because these people may not have a close or a close personal relationship. They might not be 1 degree, they could be 6 degrees of separation, but it's the same, right? The same way we want to interact with people. And so the maintenance is about checking in, it's about offering support or help. It's even asking for help, right? Being able to tap into what this person may have to offer, and doing it in a way that can also be reciprocal. So, oh, Kim says she's never put in set of topics, right? And I typically don't do topics either, Kim, but I know a lot of people need them. And so I've given people topics. And the best topic to talk to someone about is themselves, to put them in this journey and say, hey, share with me, like when you had an, it's almost like interviewing them, like behavioral interviews. Like, hey, when you were in your career, within the first 10 years of your career, and you had a conflict with leadership, how did you handle that? Right? So it's, and that's very organic. And from that storytelling, you can continue that conversation. You can relate to them. You can get them to help you develop skills with conflict management as they're moving up into leadership. So that's the second part. We got connectivity is the first part of establishing value add relationships. The second part is connecting. And the third part is growing, right? A lot of us are good at maintaining from the standpoint of they're still in our cell phone, they're still in our contacts. We hit them up on on Facebook, or we might even text with them. But how do you grow a relationship? Right? That's the big piece, right? Because that's where the longevity starts to kick in. We literally have to grow the relationship. And so, how do we do that? That is something that definitely happens over time. So, we want to make sure that over time we are managing and growing that relationship with regular and periodic check-ins and spending time with that person. So I mentioned earlier I have a lot of mentors who are men, and they're old. Some of, when I say older, they're older than me. So they're 55 and older, maybe 51 and older, 50 and older. They're older than I am, and I get a chance to spend time with them. And so how I grow those relationships is face to face. So before COVID, I would have scheduled with them breakfast or lunch or dinner or an event, an actual event. So there's a partner that I'm friends with, that I used to work for. Thank you guys. I'm glad the sound is better. I figured out what the problem was. the finding these people, and he would always invite me to board events. So he sat on the board of on the public broadcasting system, so the local here in Atlanta. And so whenever they would have an event, especially if the event was something related to with women or related to doing with Black, and he also knew I loved education and entrepreneurship. So whenever they had a program, he would invite me to that. Some of them were fundraisers, so he'd want me to write a check. And then a lot of them were not. He just wanted me to be there, right? So he was investing in the growth of our relationship. And so, now it's probably been about, I met Mike Wood when I was 27. And so I've known him now for almost 20 years. Actually, yeah, like 21 years. So 21, 22 years. So that is how we've grown that relationship. So the growth piece is the essential part, because even if time goes by, you still don't have to. You might go a year, 2 years and haven't talked to someone, but you can pick up the phone and it's just like you've been with them forever, right? So that is that growth. And I think we have to think outside the box on how to build these relationships. And growth also comes with commonality, right? Finding common things that you have in common that you do together, right? So that is the other piece. Like, I've always wanted to learn how to golf. And because of life and then COVID, I didn't get a chance to learn how to go. I haven't learned how to golf yet, but I have a boatload of people who golf that are in my life. And to the point they was like, okay, we're going to get you clubs. Once I put it out there and say, hey, I want to learn how to golf, the number of these people who say, okay, we're going to buy you clubs. Like, they volunteered to buy my first set of clubs for me. And that's the growth, right? They've seen other things that I've done and they've been a part of my life. I've opened doors for them, made introductions. And so that's how all of that kind of works. And then the fourth part of that is, so we got connecting, we got maintenance, we got growth, and then reconnecting. A lot of us have to reconnect. And that's, I think, the part that most of us are a lot of uncomfortable, or can be uncomfortable with. Like, ooh, I haven't talked to this person in a while, but I know that they are the doorkeeper to something that I know that I need, or they can help me with something that I'm up to. They can introduce me to something. It could even be at work, right? I got to build business. I need to sell something. They work at a place in my industry and I'm trying to break through, but I hadn't talked to them in a long time. How do I make that reconnection? Pick up the phone. The best way to reconnect with someone is a phone call. And be honest, right? I know I haven't talked to you in a long time, but this is what I got going on. Asking them what they have going on. And don't try to be disingenuous, like you're calling because, oh, I need to talk to you and I haven't talked to you. You've been on my mind. You can be honest about it, right? Because we all have had those sorts of situations where we're just trying to reconnect with somebody because we hadn't talked to them in a long time. So let's just reconnect. I always say pick up the phone, reconnect. And I think the great thing about COVID now, it is easier to get on people's calendars than it has ever been. I have had more virtual teas and coffees with people who I don't know, honestly, who have hit me up on LinkedIn or Facebook and sent me a DM and said, hey, I'm interested in what you're doing. I'd like to get to know you. I'd like to hear about what you're doing. Would you mind setting up a time for us to have a Zoom call? And I remember just setting them up one Thursday afternoon between 2 and 4:30, and I was on 30-minute Zoom calls with different people every 30 minutes because people are able to connect, right? We don't have to manage our calendars as much. And so I think reconnecting is a great way to get involved. So in the chat window, I want to keep y'all engaged before we wrap. Of the four areas that I talked about: connecting, maintenance, growth, and reconnecting, which one of those four is the most challenging for you to kind of jump into and develop? Where do you find in that line of where do your relationships start to, the people that you meet, where do they start to kind of fall apart? Because I know oftentimes some of us connect, we make great connections, And we never get to the maintenance because we don't follow up. We don't call people. We don't talk. We don't email. We don't send notes. That's the one thing I've been trying to do. I bought a bunch of cards, y'all, and I got some free ones. I got free cards from Hallmark. Somebody sent me a link to do that, and I thought it was a scam, but I did it anyway. And because I Googled to find out. And that's another great way, right? So Ebony says her maintenance, girl, yes, because you don't respond to text messages fast enough. And then I done got bad too. Ebony Stubbs said maintenance. Paula said growth. Nicole said growth. Kim said connecting. Yeah. And then Kim, connecting. What's the hard part for you with connecting? And those of you who said growth, like what's the challenge with the growth area and maintenance? And sometimes, I'm teasing Ebony, but sometimes the maintenance can be hard because we think we got so much going on in our lives, right? We're so busy. We're managing our businesses. Some of us are trying to manage our parents and children, and all sorts of things are going on, and trying to do all of this at once, right? And I will say, some of us, it is a natural gift and talent. I think for me, it comes really natural. I grew up in the church watching my grandmother. And so this being connected and knowing a lot of people is something that me and my brothers all have in common. So I think that is, sometimes it's a skill that you just kind of either build. You can either build it or it comes natural to you, but everybody can do it. You just have to be intentional about it, right? You have to know who you want to connect with, and you can't take it personal, right? So you pick out your people. It's not a give and take kind of thing, relationship building, and especially having value add relationships. It's not always give and take. It's not like, oh, I called my mentor on this day and then they didn't call me back, right? So I'm done, right? A lot of us take that approach, and that is not the approach to do it. And so I think that's where things fall apart in the maintenance and the growth, is that we don't get a chance we don't make the investment, right? And it's a time investment. Kim said, once I make a connection, I'm pretty good with the other stages, right? So it's about making that connection. And sometimes we think, it has to be immediate, and it's not. Sometimes, believe it or not, I'm really shy. And so I have to work really hard in a large group of people that I don't know to make myself talk. I always feel like that little 8-year-old girl comes back up, and it's that connecting. And sometimes I don't connect with people on anything. We don't have any common interest. But I always feel like maybe there's something here, right? There could be something here that I can grow into. So Nicole says she feels like she skips the growth part and goes right to maintenance. Yeah, that growth piece is tough for a lot of people because, some of us have some theories too, like I don't need no new friends. So that's another piece. Or we lean into saying, oh, I'm an introvert. And so that's a challenge. I'm an introvert too, but I love people. And I'm always very interested in people. And a lot of the things that people don't necessarily see in me are true. But it's that constant practicing. And I think also getting involved in stuff, right? When you start to get involved and you take on leadership roles, or you volunteer to take on bigger roles, you're forced, right? And I think that's what happened with me. I was forced to do more because I raised my hand to get involved. So Paula said, growth for me is a popular girl problem. Lots of connections, but not as deep for many. Girl, I can relate to that. That's one of the downfalls, right, of relationship building and value added relationship. If you are fun, and Paula, you are fun. And so people want to be around the fun person, the popular person, because there's something happening over there. But what the fun person has to do is find those quality relationships and take them deep, right? And be intentional about those deep relationships and how they can be best suited, right? Because sometimes our connections are not about making friends. It is truly a network connection, is a relationship built on common things related to business, career, and things like that. So I think sometimes we forget that too. Everybody that we're connected with won't be in our friend circle. They won't be the people that we call in the middle of the night when things are not going well. But they are immediately the person we need to talk to if we're looking to move into consulting. If we need a headshot, like who do we call? Paula, who took that beautiful photo of you? Who took that beautiful photo of Janine? You pick up the phone and call them, right? If you're looking for someone who has strong accounting skills and there's a job to tell them about, you pick up the phone and you call Kim, right? Who's the CPAs in your network? You reach out to these people. And I think that's where part of that is. And then those of you who are quick to make friends, you also have to be intentional about going deep. And sometimes going deep with people means the ugly stuff come out, right? You realize that you have conflict. There are things that you don't agree upon. And how can you go deep in that? And that's where I think the real growth comes in to us personally, right? I tease one of my friends that are on here, Yuso. We joke about we're very similar, but we're also very different. And the one thing I attribute to us being close is we've had moments where we've had to yell at each other, right? Where we disagree, but we had to pull ourselves back and say, okay, let me understand. I mean, yell in a nice way, not yell and scream at each other. We had to look at each other and say, okay, she sees this different than me. I see this different than her. But we become friends over the years, deep friendships, but also have relationship capital, right? I can refer her. I feel comfortable referring her to boards, putting her name up for different positions, introducing her to people in my network that could be valuable for her career. So when we look at that, so I want y'all to do some homework because I'm a coach. Think about who's in your network and who have you introduced them to and who has introduced you. So Paula, how did I meet you and who have I introduced you to, right? Which is a great exercise to figure out how you know people. Like it's almost like relationship mapping. How did you meet this person and who have you met through them and who have you introduced them to? And then also identifying how can you grow your network, right? Where are the missing pieces to give you additional balance, right? Do you have enough people in the profession of law or medicine or technology to kind of to expand that piece? And then maintenance. Think of things that you can do to continue to maintain relationships when you meet them or people you meet. Are you having enough Zoom check-ins with people or FaceTime or just calling people and say, how are you doing? What's going on with you at work? And take a deep dive into that. And then growth. How do you grow relationships in a virtual environment? How do you add and continue to build relationship capital through that process? And looking at what do I need to do? What can I do? And what can I offer? I think the best calls I receive is when somebody calls, hey, Janine, is there anything I can do for you? What do you need right now? And I can say, you know what, y'all? I need someone who can help me with some of this technology that I'm doing. Right. Looking at these things, right? What they may or may not know anyone, but it's the call, right? It's the thought to say, hey, what do you need? And then lastly, reconnecting. Who haven't you talked to in the last year or 2 years? That is a great part of your network that you need to check in with and reconnect with them. Find out what's going on with them, with their career, with their life, and say, hey, and just say, I want to reconnect. Time has gotten in the way. Life has gotten in the way. And I want to reconnect with you. Because I think there's some value added things that we can do right now. We are in a totally different environment, and things are moving so quickly and changing so fast. And many of you will be working for another 10 or 12 years, or maybe even 15 or 20, but doing something different, right? A lot of my clients come to me and they're 50 years old and they're like, I want to end this career at 55 and I want to do something else. I'm not trying to go home and lay down. I want to do something totally different. And that's where you can dive in and look into that relationship capital, and let people know what you're up to. So thank you all for joining today. Oh, so always so great to see names and faces that I know. And thank you for hanging in there during the technology glitch. But I'm trying to do things better, faster, stronger, more technology. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it has to be fixed in the middle. So thank you all. Bye bye. Ooh, my neck. Thank you, Paula, Nicole, Keisha, Ebony, Yuso, and Ebony. Hey, Shantina. Thank you. I'm going to be checking in with y'all. Make sure y'all doing these exercises. Thank you, Kim. Hey, Sean Johnson. We need to connect. And Nicole. Look at all these NABA folks. I love y'all. Bye bye. Hey, Bren Bren.